Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm very excited to do this video, and this video will include slideshows of me assembling two jigsaw puzzles. They are very similar yet very different, and each in their own way. What are these puzzles? Well, they're both metro or transit puzzles for the city of Chicago. My husband was born and raised in Chicago, and we moved to Massachusetts about 33 years ago. And he's always talking about home. He misses home. And one day when he saw a new puzzle of mine, an inside out 1,000 piece jigsaw puzzle from Masterpieces called Fields Department Store, and I told hubby that I bought this puzzle because it reminded me of Marshall Fields, a place where he worked for a good 20 years. So it made him think, I wonder if there are any puzzles with maps of the transit authority. So we sat down and we used my iPad to go on to Amazon and to other websites, and I found the two that I'm going to show you in this video. So the puzzle on the left is from Geo Toys, a brand that I had never worked with, and it's called Metro Puzzle Chicago. It is 1,000 pieces and it is in landscape mode. Then the one on the right in this image above is called Chicago Transit Authority, a 500 piece jigsaw puzzle from New York Puzzle Company, and this one is in portrait mode, and it's close to, not exactly the same size. Now I just give you the sizes while I have the boxes right here. The Metro Puzzle Chicago puzzle is 26 and 5/8 times 19 and a quarter inches, whereas the 500 piece puzzle is 18 by 24 inches. So they're very close in size, and I love that the 500 piece puzzle is bigger so that hopefully my husband can see some of the places that he remembers as he was growing up. So the first puzzle that I chose to do is this Metro puzzle from Geo Toys, the 1,000 piece jigsaw puzzle. Now, Geo Toys is a new brand to me. It's the first time I've ever done any of their puzzles, so I wasn't quite sure what I was going to find when it came to quality. I will say that the puzzle dust was minimal. The pieces, the thickness is maybe about half the thickness of a better quality. But if I were to give it a rating, I would say I would give it a 4 out of 5 for quality. I had no problems with it. I loved it. Then I have to look at the puzzle in terms of a challenge. Was it easy, difficult, super difficult? Where do I place this? Again, if I use a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the most difficult, this would definitely go in the 5 range. For me, it became a number 5 as far as difficulty level because I have never worked a map puzzle before. And after I show you the second one in this video, I may never work a map puzzle again. But I did this puzzle for my husband, and I did the second puzzle that I will show you in this video for him as well. I loved working on this puzzle despite its difficulties because every time I got to certain pieces, I would jump up and go in the living room and say, Tony, do you remember Maxwell Street, or do you remember Halsted, or different streets in Chicago, or different landmarks? And it was really fun comparing notes and him taking the puzzle pieces out of my hand to look at a small puzzle piece just to read the street name. I mean, it was a great big joy putting this puzzle together. I loved it. Of course, as you saw in the video already, my cats were there getting the love and the attention that they need and that they deserve, all while I was working this puzzle. So now, as you can see, the puzzle is done, and then what I did is I started to take some close-ups. So as mentioned, I went with the camera and just went a little bit closer and just took individual shots. I don't know how clear they will be to your eye, but for me, they were clear enough for me to see the differences in the parts of the city of Chicago. Now, one thing that I want to mention while you look at these close-ups is the reason I found this puzzle difficult is obviously the street names and intersections and real ways and all of that was very small, so therefore it was very challenging. Even though this is a color puzzle, I wasn't even able to depend on any type of gradient or color assistance with this puzzle. And actually, as I got to almost the very end of the puzzle, I realized, wait, I could have pulled out the pieces that said north versus the pieces that said south, and that would have sped up the process a little bit. But here's something very interesting. When I was about 2/3 of the way done with the puzzle, my son was in the kitchen making a smoothie. And I told him, I said, Aaron, I'm really loving this puzzle I'm doing for Daddy. I said, but boy, is it hard. He goes, but that's what you want, Mommy. I said, what do you mean? He goes, you know what I'm saying. I'm saying that the more challenging the puzzle, the more fun it is. And I'm like, exactly. Who wants to speed through a jigsaw puzzle? I never do. So yeah, I loved the challenge. I loved this. I loved that it was done in dedication to my husband. And I was so eager once I was done with this to glue it. I used Mod Podge. And then I went on to the next one. So as we segue over to the second puzzle, we have the New York Puzzle Company Chicago Transit Authority 500-piece puzzle. As you can see, this puzzle is in portrait mode, and again, it is 500 pieces. So here's my thought process. 1,000 pieces of a map puzzle like I had never done before. 500 pieces, easy peasy. In fact, I started this puzzle midday on the 31st and was determined that by midnight of the 31st, I would have completed this puzzle, and then I could count it for an October finish. That did not happen. I didn't finish it until today, November 1st, so therefore it's being counted as a November finish. Now, why am I talking about me trying to finish this puzzle by the end of October? Because I'm thinking 500 pieces, I should be able to do this. Well, that proved not to be the case. As you can see, different than the Geo Toys puzzle, this puzzle is pretty much all white. Now, there's some slight gradient of color. You have kind of like a tannish color a little bit. You've got a little bit of a bluish. You've got a white, and you have the part of Lake Michigan, and then you have the legends. And also you have the railway lines, the red line, the green line, the blue line, and the orange line, and so forth. So there was enough there to technically make this puzzle distinguishable. However, it did not make it easy. One thing about both of these puzzles, the Geo Toys puzzle and this New York Puzzle Company puzzle, you would think that some kind of sorting could take place, but that was not to be the case. First of all, the pieces weren't just standard cut. They were some random shaped pieces, mostly your normal average pieces, but enough random shaped pieces that you couldn't sort. You also, at least I could not sort, because like I said, most of it is white. But when I decided to do the rail lines, the red line, the green line, the blue line, etc., that part of the puzzle came together pretty quickly. But then I had to really, really rely on the box. Now, this one did not come with a poster, and I didn't mention it for the Geo Toys one. It came with a full-size poster. The poster is the same size as the Jigsaw puzzle. Well, this one did not come with a poster. So what I did with this particular puzzle is I took a picture of the puzzle on my phone, and then I airplayed it to my television so that I could blow it up on my 70-inch screen. that was basically how I was able to get a lot of the puzzle done. And then as I got to the last, say, 100 pieces or so, I did have to take a piece, look at the landmark of the jigsaw puzzle piece, and then go to the box, find that landmark on the box, and try to place that piece in the general location. Another thing I noticed with this puzzle is, and I don't understand why, but this puzzle is marked with kind of an easy guide. If you are familiar with map puzzles, this may not be new to you, but across the top and across the bottom it's numbered 1 to 8, and across the left side and across down the right side it's lettered from A to K. So, or should I say A to L. So when I got to the last 100 or 150 pieces where I just could not make any sense of anything, well, what I did in that case is, if, say, it was the Museum of Science and it was by the letter K, I would put it in that vicinity. And I just kept doing that. And then after doing that for about maybe 20 pieces, then it started to come together really quick. And then the last part of it went together really well. Now, I'm noticing with the close-ups that some of the pieces aren't completely flat. Don't worry. Before I glued it, I secured those that made it a little tighter. So let's talk for a second about this puzzle when it comes to quality and level of difficulty. So what would I rate this puzzle? I would definitely rate it a 4 out of 5 for quality. I had no false fits or anything of that nature, no bent tabs, nothing missing. It was a pretty good puzzle. For difficulty, I'm definitely going to give it a 5 out of 5. For difficulty, maybe because I'm not familiar with map puzzles, I'm certainly not familiar with all the ins and outs of all the different areas in the different sides of Chicago, the north side, the west side, the south side. The railway system has changed since I lived and worked in Chicago, and so there was a lot of difficulty for me to be able to put the puzzle together. And here they are one more time, side by side. Geo Puzzles, Metro Chicago, and New York Puzzle Company, Chicago Transit Authority. You can see how different these puzzles are, both in the number of pieces, one being 1,000, the other being 500, one being in landscape mode, the other being in portrait mode. But what do you see with these puzzles? You see the intersections, the south side of Chicago, the north side of Chicago. And one thing I had to go ask Tony, I said, I didn't know Chicago was a square, like square shaped as far as north, south, east, west. He said it's more rectangular, north, south, east, west. So I was finding so much to learn about during this process. This was a fabulous experience because it brought me closer to my husband as far as sharing a hobby that I love with an area of the country that he loves, his hometown, the city of Chicago. I loved doing the two different puzzles, one colorful, one not, one portrait, one landscape, one larger, one smaller. Was this worth the challenge? Oh, most definitely. I will definitely work on more Chicago-themed jigsaw puzzles as time goes by. In fact, my very next puzzle will be Field's Department Store, which it doesn't say on the box that that's the inspiration that the artist used, but it reminded me of Marshall Fields in Chicago. So even though I do have another Chicago puzzle that I want to do, I don't know if I will ever do another map puzzle. This was a real challenge, but it was a lot of fun, like I mentioned. I think it really tied my husband and I together as far as finding something in common, and I loved it. It was a great experience. Thank you so much for watching.